Why do we struggle to make decisions? What is it? What's the biggest thing that prevents business coaches from moving forward, getting traction, and achieving the goals that they want to achieve? That's what we're just discussing today in this video training. Here's the reality. In working with a lot of coaches all across the country and many parts of the world, we see this time and time again. Someone gets started, they're excited, they've got goals, they've got dreams. They see, having 4, 5, 6, 10, 12 clients and what that's going to help them achieve and what they want to do. Yet they get 2 months in, 3 months in, 4 months in, and they begin to lose hope simply over one thing. And that's this: lack of decision, determining what strategies I'm going to use in building relationships, adding value, and solving problems. You can call it lead generation if you want to. You can call it prospecting, call it whatever you want. But the reality is that at some point you're going to use referrals, you're going to use workshops, you may use LinkedIn or Alignable or other types of online platforms. You may do your coaching virtually, you may do it in person. The list goes on and on and on. You may do group coaching, one-on-one coaching. It doesn't matter. At some point, you must decide on what I'm going to do. So what happens is that lack of decision turns in from 1 day to 10 days to 3 weeks to 3 months to 6 months, simply because we're not moving forward. We think about it a lot of times. We read about it a lot of times. We talk about it a lot. We go to trainings. We have all those things inside of our business coaching community that we call business coach mastery. We have the trainings. We have the resources. We have the tools. But you still got to decide to move forward. So here's 3 specific areas that coaches struggle with. And by coaches, we're talking about people, right? This is a human nature at its finest, but this is what can aid, certainly, in making it difficult to move forward. Number 1, analysis paralysis. There are a lot of options. There are a lot of ways you can build a business coaching practice. There's a lot of ways you can build a business, right? And if we're not careful, what we do is we think about it, we mull about it, and we'll see someone get success over here. We have a Facebook group where coaches all over the place commune, talk together, whatever. We have different trainings, we have masterminds, all these different things. Well, what happens is sometimes is that I see somebody having success over there. I'm going to go over here and do that. And then the next time they'll hear somebody have a success over there, oh, you know what? I could do that. They'll go over here and do that, and they just begin to fall through this thinking about it and think it's like someone one time called it analysis molasses. I mean, in other words, we just drudge through the same conversation in our head. And that will fatigue you. That will kind of just put burden upon your brain power, right? And your energy and your emotions. And so overthinking absolutely is a deal killer. We don't want to fall into that. The second thing is fear of failure. Well, if I do what they did and I saw how they were successful, but if I try it, what happens if it doesn't work? If I do what they did, right? What happens if I do it and it don't work? What if I decide to do a workshop and I invite all these people and no one comes? Like, what's going to happen? What if I go to that networking event that I was invited to and, I fumble through what I'm going to say? What if they look at me and go, well, what do you know that I don't, right? And so all these conversations these negative conversations in our head are all about fear and about us failing to be able to get the job done. And the third thing is lack of clarity. We see all these choices, we see all these options, but because we're not asking the right questions oftentimes, we're looking at things tactically and not looking at things strategically. I'll give you an example. We have a coach that's about to come on board, okay? They own a business. And inside their business, the industry that they're in, they do a lot of currently networking and do a lot of referrals, and they own a franchise, and they're the number 1 franchisor in the first year. Like, they're very good at building relationships, okay? So here's what clarity would look like in this example. You can still sit down and look at I could do this, and this, and this, but in this case, when we apply leverage, okay, it makes all the sense in the world to be clear about the next steps, at least the early entrance, for them to continue to do networking and referrals the way they're doing it, because that's working for them. That may not be what they do forever, and they may not do it long term, but no question that that's where they start. So there's an example of, well, here's a clear plan for today This is what you need to do to move forward. You may get into workshops at some point. You may end up using LinkedIn at some point, but right now, don't sabotage your energy and your focus. Get clear on your results. Here's a way to leverage what you're already doing. That may not be, and likely won't be, everyone's story, but prayerfully, you can begin to see how this plays out for you. So now I'm going to tell you 3 simple solutions to solve these areas. And then we're going to talk about, from a standpoint of faith, what does it look like as a believer, as a Christ follower? How do we, pray about all of our actions and our activities? Okay, we'll talk about that as well. So solution 1 is simplify your options, right? We want to narrow down the options that there are. We can't just simply line them all up and say, I want to do all of these, because that's not realistic. So my advice has always been to first, don't choose more than 2 strategies, that is. And in doing so, if you can make them complement one another, like networking and workshops really do well with one another, if you can make them complement each other, that's going to help in a very, very big way. You just don't need more than 2, because if you choose more than 2, what's going to happen is you get spread thin, you dabble in certain areas, and when you do that, you're going to get dabble-like results. We don't want to do that. So, and it says, hey, I'm interested in these 4 or 5, but I'm going to simplify my options for today, and over the next 6 months, I'm going to stay focused on these 2 strategies. And then as I get momentum, as I get my first 3 or 4 clients, I may end up then shifting or adopting or moving away from or moving into another strategy. Because what's going to happen is that as you go through that, you've clarified your options, you're working in your skill set of these 2 areas, you're getting several clients or so, you're going to get a lot more clarity over time as it is, and it's going to help in a big way. But it makes it harder if you make things complicated and you're trying to do 4 or 5 different things. Very difficult to do, okay? Number 2, and this is one I think a lot of people really struggle with, but yet it has the most elements for the path of moving forward. And that is to set a good enough goal for now. Let me explain what I mean. So let's say that you do like to build relationships, you like talking to people, you like to get to know new people, and you've decided to go to networking events to build those relationships. Now, so here's what a lot of people do, and they struggle with that. Well, I'm going to choose that, but I'm going to do it when I'm totally ready. I've got all resources. I've got my elevator pitch down. I've got this, I've got that. I'm going to do it this way on Tuesday, that way on Thursday, and so on. Now, I am not suggesting that you be unprofessional. I'm not suggesting that you wing it. What I'm saying is to get traction. That's the strategy. How do I move forward with simplicity and get traction in the beginning? And it just simply says, you know what? A good enough goal for networking for now is that I'm just going to go. I'm going to shake hands. Yes, like for instance, in our system, we give coaches, we ghostwrite a couple of books with you, okay? Takes a little time to do them, but not that long, truthfully. But some are like, well, I need to get that done. I need to get it printed or whatever. Of course, we want to get that accomplished, but that should not stop you from going out and meeting people. That's all you got to do, okay? Is just go do it. And then maybe 3 or 4 weeks down the road, you get your books, then now you're going to incorporate that into your plan, all right? Second, set a good enough goal. Part of what you're going to do in building relationships is what we call utilizing your sphere of influence. Well, same thing. We want to have all this stuff together, but you know what? In your sphere of influence, you've got probably a minimum of 10, if not triple that, of really close contacts. We're not saying that these are the people that are going to become clients, but they may extend you to their network, or if nothing else, it helps practice. So what I'm saying is you sit down with them and you're going to share with them what you're doing. You're going to share with them why you're doing it. And so what happens is we will over-process this thought. And okay, next Tuesday I'll reach out to Rick. And Tuesday comes, well, you know what? Friday I'll do that. And then all of a sudden we continued again to push things away because we're overthinking the process. Set a good enough goal is, I'm going to reach out to Rick and Frank next week, and we're going to go to lunch and just talk with them. Like, that's all I got to do. That's all you have to do. We're talking about forward progress with simplicity. The third thing, create a minimal, not minimal, because that's not a word. Create a minimal viable action. We call these MVAs. It just simply suggests that identifying small, simple, manageable actions that you can take to move forward. Even if it's a large project, right? If I'm going to, for context, if I'm going to connect with 100 people over the next whatever, well, if we stay focused on the 100, that has a tendency and an opportunity to be overwhelming. Big number. How am I going to get through it? I didn't call anybody today. Oh man, I've still got this big number. We want to break it down. This week, I'm going to, and I'm making this up for context, connect with 3 people. All right. So we're breaking down actions. We're breaking down projects into MVAs, minimal viable actions. Again, as you get momentum, you may not think about it like this. We're talking about in the beginning, that's the critical mass. We got to get forward progress because, quite frankly, the third client doesn't matter unless you get your first client in the door, right? Well, your first client doesn't matter if you don't start to connect with people. Create some MVAs, all right? It's super important. And here's a bonus tip for you, okay? In any of these decisions, whether I'm going to reach out to 100 people, but today I'm going to do 3, or I'm going to go to a network, doesn't matter what it is. Whatever your goal, whatever your action is, establish, very important, a decision-making deadline. So if I was choosing between networking, doing a workshop, creating a joint ventures, with a CPA or something like that, by this Friday, I'm going to make a decision on which one I'm going to choose. And then after that Friday comes, I'm going to set another deadline. It could be 4 days away. I wouldn't encourage to be too far off into the future, but I'm going to set another date to say I'm going to choose where I'm going to go, right? So when we're creating MVAs, when we're creating decision-making deadlines, we begin to move forward. Stop thinking about everything so big. Make manageable decisions, or create rather manageable actions that you can move forward. And then what's going to happen is you're going to gain momentum. It may not always work, by the way. You may have incorrect outcome expectations. You may go to a networking event thinking you're going to come away with 5 amazing prospects and not have any, but you've connected with a lot of people. And so you're going to learn this kind of stuff. You're going to learn what's working for you, what's not working for you. So you've got to create realistic expectations, but even the expectations don't matter until you go out and begin to take action. That's what's important. All right, so quickly, as believers, as Christ followers, we're building a coaching business, we're creating MVAs, we're working through what is it that I'm going to do, and learning and discovering, meeting people, connecting. And then there is this entire, of all the activity, of all the actions, what am I going to do? Well, number one, in every single thing that we do, we're going to pray about it, we're going to give it to the Lord, and we're going to simply say, God, I trust your guidance here. I'm going to take a step of faith and go in this direction, but I need your wisdom. Open my eyes to things that I don't know and I don't understand. Put people in my path that can help me move to the next thing. It could be coaches, it could be business owners, it could just be great contacts to give me encouragement, whatever it may be. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 says, trust in the Lord with all of your heart and lean not to your own understanding. You probably have heard this before. In all of your ways submit to him, and he will make your path straight. And so we're just simply saying that, order my footsteps. I'm going to take them, keep ordering them, keep giving me wisdom, keep giving me guidance. Faith over fear. You need to write that down. You need to repeat it to yourself, is that the moments, look, fear's not going to go away. You're human. I don't care how long you do this, but do this for a very long time. Even I still have those butterflies in different ways, right? Faith over fear. We put our faith in the Lord over those moments that we have fear. And it's just simply, as we're setting, especially as we're setting what we call good enough goals and creating, minimal viable actions and whatnot, we want to trust not just in his guidance, but we want to crush fear on its face. We do that through faith. 2 Timothy, you have the power to make decisions, to take bold steps forward, all right? And then the last one, step out in faith. And look, this is where you beat indecision. This is where you beat the things that's going on in your head that says that's not going to work. That's the enemy, by the way. who's telling you it won't work, and when you don't do it, he wins. Don't let him gain victory in your life. You want to push forward. That means I'm going to take a step out of faith. But I want to encourage you with something when you do it, is that it doesn't mean that it's all going to go perfect. I would even make the argument that the entire concept, with one of the books that John Maxwell wrote about failing forward, is that in taking a step of faith, in our actions and our activities and the relationships that we build, some of the learning is it didn't work. I now can correct course. I won't do that again because I went through that. I know what to do as much as I know what not to do. And now I've built character, I've built resilience, and we can't do any of those things until we take a step of faith. I hope that encourages you. I hope that ministers to you. I hope that speaks to you in some level, because as a believer, as a Christ follower, I'll tell you what, as far as I'm concerned, when we are great coaches, helping businesses grow profitability, their leadership, their culture, and their business, man, you have an opportunity to make a significant impact that feeds your purpose. I had a coach yesterday tell me, he just been very busy, felt overwhelmed, and just had that headspace for a slight moment that said, I mean, man, is this meaning anything to anyone? I mean, he's got clients, you're getting paid and all that. And then that day, he had somebody who said, hey, I just wanted to, one of his clients, wanted to let you know, man, this has meant so much to us. Like, we've gotten so much clarity. We're getting traction. We feel so good about where we are. We're so excited about the future. And none of that wouldn't be possible if it wasn't your investment. That's the passion. That's the purpose. That's the impact. I want to encourage you. You can do it. Perhaps you've been thinking about starting a coaching business. Listen to what I'm telling you here, encouraging you on moving forward. Maybe you have already started, but you feel stuck. Take actionable steps, take a step of faith, make some decisions, get into motion. That's where the success, even with the trials, are going to come from. All right? Until next time, take care.